The boardroom lights were low, almost intimate, the way they always were after 8 p.m. when the cleaning crew had gone and the city below turned into a sea of moving headlights. The long table gleamed under recessed halogens, reflecting the faces of the 9 people still seated. Harlan Langford at the head, silver hair perfect, jaw set like poured concrete. His daughter Victoria to his right, 26, wearing the same cool smile she'd worn when she contributed to the investor deck last quarter. Margaret Voss, general counsel, fingers steepled. The others EVP Finance, Chief Strategy, Head of HR, sat rigid, eyes flicking between me and the empty chair where the CFO should have been. I stood at the opposite end. No seat. I hadn't been invited to sit. The wall clock ticked past 8:47. Somewhere on the server 3 floors down, a $1. 2 million wire had landed in my personal account 4 days earlier. I'd stared at the notification until the screen timed out. Then I'd forwarded it to my private attorney with one line, "They paid." Now watch. Harlan broke the silence first. Voice low, measured, the same tone he used on quarterly earnings calls when he wanted to sound disappointed rather than furious. "Marcus, we've reviewed the bonus allocation." I nodded once. Said nothing. Victoria leaned forward slightly. The compensation committee feels the amount was disproportionate given the collaborative nature of the APAC turnaround. Collaborative. The word landed like a slap wrapped in velvet. I let it hang for 3 full seconds. The turnaround, I said quietly, was 18 months of 16-hour days. My team, 6 people, rebuilt supply chains in 3 countries while the rest of the organization watched from Zoom. I personally negotiated the Jakarta port concessions. I flew to Seoul 17 times. I rewrote the entire pricing algorithm after the initial model failed. The metrics jumped 142%. The board resolution that approved my bonus cited those exact figures. Signed by 3 independent directors. Dated February 28. Margaret's pen paused mid-note. Harlan's eyes narrowed. "We're not disputing your effort. We're reallocating. A portion of the incentive pool is being redirected to a new executive talent fund." Victoria's gaze flicked to her father, then back to me. "It's important for perception. Shareholders want to see disciplined capital allocation." I reached into my jacket, slowly, deliberately, and withdrew a single sheet of paper. The confirmation from finance. Time stamped. Amount, $1,200,000. Beneficiary, Marcus Hale. I placed it face up on the table and slid it toward the center. "That money," I said, "is already in my account. The transfer cleared Tuesday. Irrevocable." Harlan's mouth tightened. "There are clawback provisions." "There are," I agreed. Subparagraph 17(c). Triggered only by unanimous board vote in cases of gross misconduct or material restatement. None of which apply here. Victoria exhaled through her nose a small, impatient sound. "The board has already voted." I looked at her then. Really looked. The same young woman who'd once asked me, in front of the entire strategy offsite, whether I thought her father's old-school style was holding the company back. The same one who'd taken my slides, changed 3 bullet points, presented them as hers, and received a public thank you from Harlan in the all-hands. "I know," I said. "I have the minutes. Timestamped 4:22 p.m. today. Motion proposed by Victoria Langford. Seconded by Harlan Langford. Unanimous in favor. 1 abstention, Elena Ortiz, Chief Revenue Officer." She left the meeting immediately afterward. A ripple of tension moved through the room. Margaret cleared her throat. "Marcus, this doesn't have to become adversarial." "It already is." I pulled my phone from my pocket, opened the screen, and laid it flat on the table. The call log was visible. 6 outgoing calls between 5:14 p.m. and 7:49 p.m. 6 voicemails left. 6 text confirmations received. Elena Ortiz resigned at 5:31 p.m., I said. Effective immediately. cited ethical concerns regarding executive compensation and board governance. David Chen followed at 6:08. Priya Kapoor at 6:41. Michael Ruiz at 7:03. Sarah Klein at 7:22. Thomas Hale, your chief strategy officer and Harlan's golf partner for 12 years, sent his resignation at 7:49. He attached a 3-page letter to the board, the institutional shareholders, and the SEC whistleblower portal. Victoria's smile vanished. I continued, voice steady. All 6 used nearly identical language. In light of today's compensation committee action and the resulting erosion of trust in leadership integrity, I can no longer remain. They each CC'd the same distribution list, including Bloomberg's markets desk and the Wall Street Journal's corporate bureau. Harlan's hands flattened on the table. You orchestrated this. No, I met his eyes. I informed them. Privately. After I received the clawback notice at 3:49 p.m. I told them the facts. I showed them the wire confirmation. I showed them the minutes. I told them I would not fight alone. They chose. The room was so quiet I could hear the faint hum of the HVAC. Victoria's voice came out thinner than before. You think this scares us? 6 people walk. We replace them. The company moves on. I tilted my head. 6 C-level executives resign in 48 hours, 6 who collectively own 4.8% of the float and sit on every major committee. The stock will gap down 15% before the open tomorrow. The proxy advisors will issue against recommendations on every director up for re-election. The institutional holders, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, will demand a special committee investigation. And every journalist who's been sniffing around the related party payments to your daughter's consulting firm will have fresh quotes from 6 credible sources. I paused. But you're right about one thing, I said. The company will move on. Eventually. After the lawsuits. After the shareholder derivative actions. After the reputational damage that makes recruiting impossible for 18 months. Harlan leaned back. What do you want, Marcus? I picked up my phone. Tapped the screen once. A new email draft appeared at subject line, public release, executive resignations and compensation irregularities. Attachments, 6 resignation letters, compensation committee minutes, wire confirmation, my performance dossier. I held the phone so everyone could see the send button. I want the transfer reversed, I said. Full amount wired back to the company account by 9 a.m. tomorrow. I want a written apology from the compensation committee, not to me, to the organization, for the appearance of favoritism. I want my name restored to every internal communication that references the APAC turnaround. And I want a new compensation charter that removes family members from incentive decisions. Victoria laughed. Short, brittle. You're delusional. I looked at her. I'm realistic. 6 people just chose principle over paycheck. That's not delusion. That's precedent. Harlan studied me for a long moment. The man who'd hired me 9 years ago when I was 31 and hungry. The man who'd once called me his secret weapon. The man who'd just watched his daughter try to buy credibility with my money. He exhaled slowly. Give us until morning, he said. I nodded once. Closed the email draft. Pocketed the phone. I'll be in my office at 7 o'clock, I told him. The integration dashboard is live. Numbers don't lie. Neither do I anymore. I turned toward the door. Behind me, Victoria whispered something sharp to her father. I didn't catch the words. I didn't need to. The hallway was empty. My footsteps echoed softly. The elevator waited, doors already open, as though the building itself had been listening. Inside, the mirrored wall showed a man in a charcoal suit, tie loosened, eyes clear for the first time in years. I pressed the button for the lobby. As the car began its long descent, my phone buzzed once. A text from Elena Ortiz. We're with you. Whatever comes next. I smiled, small, tired, real. The doors opened on the marble lobby. Outside, the city kept moving. Inside me, something had finally stopped pretending.